Hey guys, it's Hannah and welcome to the Dyslexic Reader. Today I am going to be doing my wrap up for July 2019. I can't believe July is already over. I managed to read 7 books this year during the reading rush, and that is a separate wrap up video that I posted yesterday. So I'm talking about the books that I read this month excluding them. So if you want to get everything that I read this month, you also have to go and check out that video, which I will link down below and in the cards up above if I remember to do that, which I hopefully will. So this month, apart from the 7 that I read for Reading Rush, I read another 4 books. And I'll just quickly go through them with you guys. I read Eldest, which is the second in the Inheritance Cycle by Christopher Paolini. This is a high fantasy series about dragons. And the dragons and the dragon riders who are in a, not in a relationship with dragons, that sounds weird, but they have a special connection with the dragons and they can talk to them and ride them and befriend them and they become connected and grow together and they're very fierce warriors, but they have all died off. But obviously in the first book in the series, they come back and they're trying to battle a bad guy and there's resistance and it is just really, really good. I feel like I'm not explaining it wholeheartedly, but in high fantasy, and especially when you're trying to explain like a second book, there isn't a lot that you can say, I feel like. But it's really, really good. I'm really enjoying it. I'm sure most people have heard of this if you're into fantasy at all. The only thing I did not like about this book was what's the cousin's name? Rowland? Oh, that's going to annoy me now. I can see they're up against with an R. Roaring. That's it, I had to flick to find the name on a page. Roaring the cousin. His point of view that it switched between at the start, I wasn't really enjoying that, but I did know that it was going to become important at the end of the story and all tie in, which it did. There was a big twist at the end, which I kind of saw coming and it makes complete sense, but at the same time I hadn't planned it out the way that it was coming, which was really, really good. There definitely was hints to it through this book and through the first book as well. And I like that where you can kind of see it building up but don't necessarily guess it at the same time. So yeah, this was a 5-star. I still really enjoyed it. The roaring bit I found a bit boring for the first half of the book, but afterwards it all came together and I am really, really enjoying this series and I'm definitely going to try and get Briziger in August sometime. And then hopefully finish it up in September if I can. I read Shadow Magic by Joshua Kahn and I really, really, really enjoyed this. I talked about it in a library haul and it says, one slave boy, one princess of darkness, 6 houses of magic. Thorn, an outlaw's son, wasn't supposed to be a slave, but he was sold to an executioner and they're headed for Gehenna, the land of the undead. Eliath's shadow wasn't supposed to be a ruler of Gehenna. Following the murder of her family, she has become the last in a long line of sorcerers and the only surviving member of the House of Shadow. When Eliath is targeted by a ruthless assassin, she and Thorn find themselves stuck in a dangerous world of monsters and dark magic. And this was really, really good. The thing that I said in my haul that I hoped wasn't in the book was in the book. I said him being a slave, I hope it wasn't just glossed over, and there was a conversation about that, and there wasn't really. He was kind of sold out of slavery within the first chapter, and he kind of says, yeah, I didn't really being it or whatever, but there was no kind of moral discussion on slavery, which was a bit of a letdown. But the whole book was so good, it was so interesting, it was quite different. Again, this is another book where the back doesn't really explain what the book is about. It was completely different to what I was expecting after reading the blurb, but I still really enjoyed it, and there was a lot of really interesting characters and relationships as well, which I'm really, really enjoying. Recently, I still think I'm a plot person in my head. It was a good and unique story and it was well written, but there was some really deep grey characters and there was definitely a twist at the end, which I saw coming, but not until quite at the the last 30 pages. I was oh, I can see how this is going to end, but not beforehand. It really did. And again, it was that thing where there was clues littered throughout, so it totally made sense. You could see it all coming together at the end, but it wasn't really obvious, which I think is hard to do, especially in children's work. So I really enjoyed this, and I believe I gave it a 4-star. Then I read Hilda and the Great Parade, and I didn't know that this was a Netflix series when I got it out of the library. It is beautifully illustrated, I'll give them that. Now, I was quite confused. I did Google it, but I couldn't quite work out, was it a series, like a cartoon that was novelised and then made into a Netflix show? Or was it a book that was cartooned and then made into a Netflix show? Or was it a cartoon or a comic that was made into a cartoon for Netflix and then the novelisation came? Do you know what I mean? I couldn't quite work out the order that it came in, but it seems to be there's quite a lot of books in this series. This particular one has this very brown and yellow tones to the art style. I'm not sure if they're all like that or not. And they kind of created by Pearson, so that's who came out of it, but they're all written by different people, the stories, and there's quite a lot of them. I did read the, this is not the first book in the series, you don't have to read them in order, but I did watch the first episode of the Netflix series. I didn't really enjoy it, but it did give me some backstory for this after reading it, which was quite cool, but I didn't really like it enough that I would pick up any more, but I think it is a cool series, and if it sounds interesting to you, I would definitely look into it. And the last book that I'm going to talk about is Beetle Boy. This is the first in the trilogy. I read the second for Reading Rush, so if you want to know more about the second one, go and check out yesterday's video. This is a book, I'll read you the back of it because I find it hard to explain in my own words. Darkus can't believe his eyes when a huge insect drops out of the trouser leg of his horrible new neighbour. It's a giant beetle and it wants to communicate. But how can a boy be friends with beetles, and what does the beetle have to do with the disappearance of his dad and the arrival of Lucretta Cutter and her taste for creepy jewellery? And the edges on this are absolutely beautiful. The rest in the series don't have this gorgeous sprayed edge, but the Beatles on this are really cool. I just enjoyed the characters in this book. I thought they were really good. I thought the story was unique and interesting and well written, and I think I gave this 4 stars, and I read the second one, so I clearly did enjoy it, and I have the third one on hold at the library as well, so I'm planning to finish that off in August. And that was it. There is the 4 books that I read that weren't for Reading Rush, and because I have just filmed this, I have these as well. So there's all the books I read in July, plus an audiobook which was quite long as well. So I think I did pretty well for the month. August, I'm travelling for the second half of the month again, and a little bit into September as well, so I'm not sure how reading in August will go. It is the Newt in August, the Magical Readathon. My TBR for that should be up tomorrow, so keep an eye out for that. And I've picked quite lengthy books for my TBR, although I did change my career from Mental Charmer to Curse Breaker so that I only have to read 9 books instead of 12 to complete that, so hopefully that will help. But I have picked quite long books, so I may go to the library later and see if I can get some shorter books because I picked all the books from my shelf because it's a month-long readathon. I didn't want to be like rushed, but I'm going to have to be travelling anyway, so I can have them for the first 2 weeks and then give them back. So I might try to see if I can get shorter books for that. But that's nothing to do with my wrap-up. So that's us for today. I hope you're all happy. I hope you're all healthy. And hopefully I'll see you tomorrow for my Newt's TBR, which I'm super excited about. Goodbye.